Please welcome MJ Rodriguez and Lydia Polgreen.
Damn, it has been a year.
It definitely has.
So much to celebrate, so much awesomeness. I was telling you backstage yesterday, I was with a friend of mine here in LA, and she told me that she had seen you playing Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. Yes, exactly. And I immediately raised, and she said, "That was such a hot ticket." We immediately went back to the room and saw the video of you singing "Suddenly See More" on James Corden, and it was just amazing. Like, you have just been like a breakout all over the place. I see you everywhere. How you doing? How's it been?
Oh my God. I'm good. I can't complain. I mean, life has life has taken a beautiful turn. I'm living completely in my truth, and I'm unapologetic of my existence. As I said in that video, I'm trying my best to take up space in spaces that a lot of individuals don't feel that I deserve to be in, or they don't feel comfortable in, and I'm sitting there and I'm taking it up and feeling confident in it, you know, and it feels great.
It's so interesting, I think, because particularly with LGBT talent, people particularly from the trans community, folks act as if they came out of nowhere, that they were just unknown, and then suddenly, boom, you're on a big show and you're super famous. That's not how it works.
Right.
You've been on a journey. Talk to me about how that journey worked, and what was the big moment, the big breakthrough?
I mean, the journey was a long journey. I mean, I started when I was younger. I was in, art school, and before even art school, I was in young, small programs that, just like honed my skills and everything. And as soon as I got to a certain age where I started seeing who I was, I had to completely live fully out loud and not care. But when you get into a space when you're in the industry, it's a little daunting sometimes because you never know how people are going to accept you. You never know if it's going to be space for you. And at that point in time, I delved in, and I knew it was what I wanted to do. And when Pose came around, I knew it was something that I had to do. When I looked at that breakdown and saw so many loving characters and so many nurturing characters, I was like, oh, okay, these are the stories that we have always needed to tell. And I mean, it was based in 1987, and a lot of the people that were in 1987 are not here today. And I knew I had to do just to those lives that are not here. So it was a huge moment for me, and I'm glad I did it.
Yes, we can applaud for that. So in Pose, you play Blanca. She's an HIV positive performer. She becomes a house mother, basically, to a bunch of queer kids in the ballroom scene. Talk to me about that character, and then like how you've kind of played this role of role model in your real life too. So you're kind of playing a dual role there.
Right. Blanca, she is this rambunctious, smart, nurturing, caring, sometimes hard-headed, but very, very well-grounded woman, and she wants to leave this legacy. And a lot of individuals in the ballroom scene, or mothers just in general, want to leave that legacy for their children to have so that they can carry it on behind. And I think what ties us together is that we both share that. I mean, granted, that was based in 1987, but it still holds true to what's happening in the times now. And I knew it was only right for me to just live out who I was and actually do what I love to do, which is simply acting and singing.
Yeah.
So,
and here you are.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, I think you have emerged as a real role model for young trans kids out there. And how does it feel to sort of play that role and represent that truth in a way that young people who are maybe living in places or in situations where it's harder for them to be able to live that truth?
I think it's beautiful. I mean, I can't even believe I'm being considered as a role model. It's quite amazing, you know. And I constantly try to, like, when I do this character on the screen, it's mostly from what I've pulled from my mom and what I've pulled from me, mainly my mother, because she was the inspiration through all of it. She was the woman that instilled womanhood into my life, even before I had even known about myself, you know what I mean? And granted, I knew about me when I was 7 years old, but she was the one who actually instilled it even more. So seeing that there are younger kids who are a part of a community that are outside of mine and also a part of the LGBTQAI plus community. It's great. I speak to everyone, and I want to make sure that I bridge the gap so that we can all be seen as human beings and not just for our titles. So it's great to be that role model, and I hope that I keep instilling that in everyone.
You were telling me backstage that your mom is here, but she decided to sleep in. What did she tell you?
She said, you go ahead, you can do it, no worries.
So you don't need me.
I was like, Mommy, can you come downstairs, please? She's like, no, go. It's fine. I'm tired. I was like, you're right. I've been dragging her every single place. It's just due.
It's always the moms. Mm-hmm. So I think it's been really extraordinary to see how parental attitudes are changing. Mm-hmm. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union talked about consulting with the cast of Pose about their daughter who came out as trans.
Yes.
Talk to me about that relationship, and then also just sort of what you're seeing among young trans people today, the opportunities, the challenges that they're facing.
I think it's great that a young father who is African American is shedding light on their child, because so many African American individuals get this stigma that there is no love in the community, that there is no acceptance in the community, and in reality there is. It's just that it's not seen on a broad scale, and it's unfortunate. And I think that this was a complete step forward in Wade doing that, and I just think it's amazing that he has a wonderful wife behind him that's supporting their child, so it's great. The things that I feel like these young individuals are going through is the struggle when they go to, whether it be their schools, whether it be high school, whether it be elementary school, they're dealing with a lot of things that a lot of other kids have been taught. And they're trying to finagle and navigate how to move through life when they're in those spaces. And now it's great because they have open communities. I was just actually speaking at a college yesterday, and now they have like communities where they can go to. So I think it's great that they have these spaces to just like confide in when they don't feel like they have a parent that they can talk to.
Yeah. Let's talk about your creative life. Obviously Pose has been a huge breakout success. What are your aspirations? I know you're interested in comics. Do you want to play a superhero?
I do.
What are some roles that are out there for you that you're really excited about?
I think the sky's the limit. I think I can play any role I put my mind to, because that's the career that we're in. I'm an actress, and I take my career very seriously, and I think that we have the option and also the ability to play anything that is given to us. But as you said, the main thing I would like to do, because I feel like a younger audience hasn't seen this, is a strong trans woman of color who is willing to take on that role and do it the right way, is in a comic role. I've always wanted to play Pixie. She's a character in the comic books. If any of you know about comics, or just many characters out there that's in the comic universe, and just to portray that so that people can have something to look up to. A lot of people say, you're a superhero already, MJ, why would you want to play a superhero? And I'm like, there's a difference,
right?
There's a difference. I'm playing a superhero in the retrospect of emotion and heart and Pose, but when it comes to seeing a character on a screen from Marvel, that's like the action figure that a lot of kids want to grab and say, look, mommy, this is me, and so it's great.
Yeah. So your activism goes beyond just, not just, but goes beyond LGBTQ issues.
It does.
You're very passionate about environmental justice. You're from Newark, the great city of Newark, which I love. Huge issues with environmental justice there. Climate change, a big issue for all of us around the planet. Talk to me about the issues that your sort of way of approaching these issues.
Well, I mean, I try my best to get in organizations where I can speak or I can just be present in. The most thing that really hit me is when I started noticing that the fires and brush fires around the world, that really hurt my spirit. And I love Mother Earth. She's one of the best things that ever happened to me. I mean, and one of the things that inhabit it is us. And I care about us, and the only way we can live is if she thrives. And when I started seeing all of the statistics and seeing that there were 1.8 billion animals that passed away in Australia, and that there are brush fires and due to arson, and seeing that glasshouse effect is taking place, and over in the Philippines there's a volcano erupting. There's so many things that we can talk about, right? But when I started seeing those, that just weighed heavy on my heart, because it goes to show what a vast amount of us are not doing. And I'm not saying that we aren't doing it in this room, because we're here and we're hearing the conversation, but there are people outside who are not doing or helping or pushing the needle a little bit forward, and I wanted to do that. So that's a huge, huge thing for me.
One thing that I think about a lot is the fact that like the movement that has propelled our community, the LGBTQ community, forward, is one of the most successful cases of activism in American history.
Right.
What our community has achieved, whether it's access to medications for HIV/AIDS or marriage equality and all of these things. I feel like the rest of the world has a lot to learn from our community about how to make change happen.
Right, I think so too. I mean, I think some people, not all, but some people forget that we have a lot of heart, and that's due to the things that we have been through. And that's why we push so hard, that's why we fight so hard. And I feel if certain people listened a little bit more, they'll hear the pain that's coming out of our hearts. And it's not just for the LGBTQAI+ community, it's for every individual that walks this earth, because we see each other as humans, so therefore we see everyone else as humans, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a credo to live by.
Hey.
MJ Rodriguez, you're blowing it up.
Thank you.